Good afternoon, everyone. I want to call the Traffic Commission hearing for February 17th to order. Members present, Chief Dave Callahan, Chief Chris Bright, City Engineer Nick Rystrom, and myself, Paul Agenzio, Superintendent of Public Works. If you could join me in a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We're going to open up the meeting with public hearings. The first one on the agenda is amend Schedule 11 of Title 10 Handicapped Person Parking Areas by adding 34 Page Street and 12 Hitchborn Street. Mr. DeCicco, do you have any comments on those?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Both of these addresses meet the criteria of not having handicap accessible parking driveway. They don't have a driveway at all. They both allow for parking on their side of the street in front of their home, and they both have a vehicle registered at their address. As of Sergeant Gino, they have no outstanding parking tickets. So since they meet the criteria with the will of the Traffic Commission's approval, I feel that they should have handicap signs installed at those locations.
Thank you very much. Do I hear a motion to move this to a public hearing?
These ones are
okay, a motion to approve.
Second.
Second. All in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Mr. Chairman, I will put those on to the work order to have those installed.
Perfect.
Thank you.
The second one on the agenda is amend Schedule 4 of Title 10 Isolated Stop Signs by adding a three-way stop at Ellerton and Argyle Street. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anyone opposed? Hearing none. What's the will of the committee? Excuse me, Sergeant.
I got a phone call from one of the residents down there. I guess, as it stands now, there's one stop sign on Elliott Street heading northbound.
Okay.
That's not on the books.
Okay.
So we're trying to get that sign there on the books where it already exists. And I'm requesting at least having a sign heading on Argyle westbound.
Okay.
At minimum, not through it.
Okay.
So there's a three-way intersection there. No crosswalks, no marked crosswalks. Stop sign at Ellerton going towards Argyle.
Okay.
It's not recorded.
Okay.
And they're looking for the stop signs to be installed on Argyle at Ellerton. At minimum, coming from to the beach heading westbound.
Okay.
So I put it in for a three-way rather than just have a two-way over there
Okay.
to cover it all.
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion? All in favor, all opposed?
Second.
Second, thank you. All in favor, all opposed, so ordered. Number 3, amend Schedule 4 of Title 10 Isolated Stop Signs by adding Burbank Street at Mountain Ave for southbound traffic on Burbank Street. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anyone opposed to this? Sergeant Janino, do you have a...
I went by the other while ago, and Burbank Street heading southbound.
Right.
It's coming downhill at Mountain Avenue, and there are recently some trees planted to the left side of it, and some cars parked over there, so it's obstructing a little bit. I think it's a good idea to put a stop sign over there.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion. Second, please.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 4, amend Schedule 4 of Title 10 Isolated Stop Signs by adding Mill Street at Vinyl Street, a four-way stop. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Councilor McKenna?
Thank you. Councilor McKenna, Ward 1 Councilor. What's happening at Mill Street and Vinyl Street is people are just blowing through the intersection and there's been a lot of accidents down there. One of the problems is, and I don't think you should cut down the tree, maybe you should move the stop sign, but the stop sign's on a telephone pole, and there's a tree in front of it, so people can't see it. But when they're coming off Revere Beach Parkway, they're flying down Vinyl Street, so they should stop. I know there's a stop sign where Victoria Street is, but we're talking about Mill Street. It's probably, I don't know, an eighth of a mile down, but we should have a four-way stop sign. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone opposed to placing this three-way stop or four-way stop? Sergeant Janino.
I went by there this afternoon also, and currently there is a four-way stop over there. Like the council said, one of the signs on a telephone pole heading into the street sideways, not dead on traffic. Another one's behind the tree.
Okay.
So I'm recommending that the signs be put on the books
Okay,
and installed on the poles properly.
very good. Motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion is second,
Second.
please. Second, thank you very much. Motion approved. Number 5, amend Schedule 9 of Title 10, Resident Parking Streets by adding Haddon Street, 24 hours, 7 days a week. Anyone wish to speak in favor? Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Councilor McKenna, Ward 1 Councilor. About a couple of years ago, we got Victoria Street residential parking, and it's made a world of difference because they only have one-sided parking down there. Same thing with Haddon. Haddon only has one-sided parking. What's happening is people from Winthrop Ave and all other streets are parking in Haddon Street. So the residents don't have parking, and I just went down there, and it's loaded with cars. So it might leave some of the cars down there where it's one-sided parking, so I'd really like to see this happen. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone opposed to this change? Sure, oh, positively.
So according to the resident permit regulations, you are allowed to park on an immediately adjacent street. And within the 24-hour sections, usually what helps is that everyone within a 24-hour section has the same color sticker, and 24-hour sections are geared towards MBTA station areas.
Mm-hmm.
My fear is that we not only are going against ordinance, we're not allowing residents to park on adjacent streets. I totally understand the concerns of Councilor McKenna, and I sympathize with the residents of this area. We just have to be careful if we're going to keep going and changing street by street. We're getting closer to having a full citywide 24-hour permit parking program.
Mm-hmm.
So just going forward, if we continue to change street by street, we're going to continue to dilute this program and cause difficulty enforcing and maintaining rules and regulations. Just a statement I wanted to put out there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilor McKenna, where do you think all these cars are coming from? What?
They're coming from all over.
Just-
They're coming from all over, but, you know, when we first started the parking program, it was only supposed to be the residents that were abutting like 600 yards or whatever it was from T stations. And then a couple of councilors got into Point of Pines, Riverside, and it just opened a can of worms. So, you know, we got Victoria Street done. Haddon Street needs to be done. Maybe, you know, if we're going to do permit parking, maybe we should do Winthrop Ave and Vinyl Street and that whole section so everybody has a parking space to, that they can park in front of their residence. But I mean, to deny this, it's not right. I understand we opened up a can of worms because Point of Pines now has residential parking. They're not near a T station. They're near a bus, but they're not near a T station. Riverside, they have it. I mean, so that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any comments from the commission?
Question, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, please.
Is there existing restrictions on Haddon Street currently?
Only overnight. Overnight one side, the
So
other
it's
side is no
resident parking overnight?
Yes,
Thank you.
okay. And one-sided parking.
I just want to say what they're doing with this here. The 24/7, currently right now, parking control doesn't work the weekends.
Right.
So on the overnights on, what's it, Zach, Saturday night, Sunday night, or Friday and Saturday?
It's Saturday.
So we don't have enforcement on the Friday and Saturday night.
Okay.
And then, so, we do get a lot of calls on the weekends, so we should probably look at the ordinance itself, to go back to the original one, which was the Monday through Friday,
Friday. Okay.
24 hours a day. Where there is no enforcement, right, chief? With the enforcement on the weekends?
So that would be another huge step if we go from overnight parking to 24/7 across the
Yeah,
city.
we keep on saying 24/7, 24/7, and I know myself, I get calls on my phone all weekend long
Right,
from the 311 for resident parking on a Friday or Saturday night.
right,
And originally, Saturday nights weren't included in this here.
okay,
Somehow they got dragged in,
okay,
and there is no enforcement done on the weekends. We don't have anyone at the station on the overnight to put out there, just tag resident parking. And the parking control doesn't have anyone out there on the
Okay.
overnights on the weekends.
Up until this past September, we were enforcing it 6 days a week. The only time we didn't enforce it was Sunday night into Monday morning. Saturday night into Sunday, unless overtime was given. We try our best to enforce it 7 days a week as much as our staffing allows. Past few months, we've either had people transfer out, we've tried to bring new employees in. We have been having trouble covering all shifts to make sure it's a 24/7 enforcement ordinance. We are building back towards that, but if it's the wish of the Traffic Commission to alter that, we support that.
Okay, so how does the commission feel? Do we want to add this to the 24/7, or do I hear a motion, or do you want to
Mr.
take?
Chairman?
Yes,
Another question, please.
sure.
So the concern is people from neighboring streets that are parking on Haddon, that's correct?
Council McKenna feels the cars are coming from somewhere, so I don't see a business in that area that would generate, a lot of cars.
There is a T-stop right down the street. I mean, it's like after Victoria Street, so it's not far. So we don't know, I mean, after the parking, if it's overnight parking and after the parking stops at 6 a.m., then anybody can park there. So if you're going to the T and you find a spot, you can park your car there all day until you come home, till, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, whatever it is. So, yeah, the cars are coming from somewhere. I can't tell you where they're coming from, but they are coming from somewhere. People are saying they come from Winthrop Ave, but other people are saying people are leaving their cars and going on the T-stop.
Thank you. My concern with that is just that if people are coming just from, neighboring streets, then changing it 24/7 is not going to really make a difference. So that's why I'm asking if it's significant people coming from outside the neighborhood for, to use it as parking for the bus or whatnot. Thank you.
Okay. So if we were to move it to 24/7 and somebody from an adjacent street parks on that street, would they be getting a ticket? They would. Okay. Okay. What's the will of the commission? Anyone wish to make a motion that this go to 24/7, or do you want to table it for the time being, or? Yeah.
Mr. Agenzio, can I
Yes.
make a motion to table this so we can look into it a little more?
Okay, table. Second on the tabling?
Second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
This will be tabled for a time till we can look into it a little close, or find out what the parking problem on Haddon Street is as opposed to the streets surrounding it. All right, thank you. That would end the public hearing. We are now going to go into requests. The first request is to amend Schedule 14 of Title 10 Bus Stops to extend the bus stop 4761 from the current existing 50 feet to approximately 80 feet. The current ordinance shows the bus stop is 0 feet in length. Do we have the location of this bus stop, like where it is in the city?
Is that Oak Island?
Oak Island? Oh, is this behind the Jack Satter house?
476, that's the one Oak Island by the old Oak Island nursing home?
Yep. Julie? Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so this is a motion that was put in by Ira Novoskowski back in the council, I think it was last fall. So this is finally coming before the Traffic Commission. The T knows that this isn't a request right now for public hearing. They did send a letter to me as well as to Sergeant Janino. So if this does go before a public hearing, they will be here.
Okay, and they're in
Okay.
favor of it.
Yep, I am. Yep.
And now, if this does get approved, will there be any loss of parking spaces?
There might be a loss of one parking spot, and this is something that we need to figure out, because this may be an issue with overflow parking out of Jack Satter House onto that roadway.
Right.
I think we will probably end up losing one parking spot. I think we're just gonna have to go down there, take a look and see what's happening.
Okay.
I do know that at one point, there was a no parking sign placed up there. I think it was 2 years ago or before the pandemic, and now the sign is gone. So somebody in and around the neighborhood must be taking the sign down, because I think this was installed and now we're going back to not being able to pull buses in.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you. Want to speak, Zach?
Just a suggestion I've seen done in the city of Everett, where a bus has trouble getting flush with the curb due to parking, and the city doesn't want to eliminate any more parking. Is there a chance at the bump out they could put, I've seen like foam or rubber cushions where they lift up to match the street with the sidewalk, and it allows for handicap usually to, whether it's a wheelchair, to be able to stay on the same level and roll from the sidewalk right onto the bus where they've raised up the street. Is it possible to create a bump out in this area if we are nervous about eliminating parking?
Well, it's possible. That's really not our road. That's a DCR road, so I don't know what we could do about changing that. But for the time being, we could certainly send this to a public hearing, and while that's in the wait for that to happen, maybe we can find out some more information on that.
And I did want to give my full support to whatever the Traffic Commission decides. I've talked to a woman from the Jack Satter House that told me she's fallen trying to get onto this bus, and that actually hurt. I felt really bad, and I've been trying to work with her through the council, Ira, to fix this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do I hear a motion to move this to a public hearing?
Motion to move to a public hearing?
Second, please. Second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Number 2, request the Traffic Commission to amend the residential parking program to allow for non-resident customers patronizing business establishments with liquor licenses beyond 12 a.m. to park their vehicles without receiving a ticket and/or being towed. Councilor Cogliandro.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. Anthony Cogliandro, 105 Newman Street, Ward 3 City Councilor. I filed this motion to help, to send it to you all, to help out with the businesses in the area. We do have businesses that reside in residential areas, such as Sons of Revere, Patriot Civic Club, the Matola Post, and we've gotten complaints that people are getting ticketed, even though they're allowed to patronize that establishment longer than 12 a.m. In speaking with Director Babbo, I understand that there's a handshake agreement to not ticket those areas at that time. However, a couple, 2-3 weeks ago, I got a phone call that there was a ticket, and what happened was a resident called. A resident called 911. In turn, they called the traffic department, and that person was ticketed. So I understand there's really not much you guys can do in that respect. So if we have something on the books that would help these establishments, I think that would be a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Liquor licenses in Revere, do they go to 1 a.m. or 2 a.m.?
2 a.m.
2 a.m. So how, Zach, maybe you could shed some light.
So all my officers are trained that when covering Broadway, Shirley Ave, areas where there may be a liquor license in use, to be discretionary and really head towards the heavy residential areas up until 2 a.m. After the time of 2 a.m., they rotate back towards the main arteries, Broadway, Shirley Ave. What happened was this was a new employee who had just started in the recent months, was unaware of the nuances, and unfortunately had given out 2 parking violations, one at Valari, one at the Patriot Civic Club. Unaware of, kind of the way we handle business. And then the second violation that was given up at the Patriot Civic Club, as I had told the bar, we just have to be respectful of the neighborhood. That club itself is involved in a heavy residential neighborhood. So I said, we just have to be respectful. And if there's a complaint that comes down, we do have to do our job to address the residents' complaints. But there's always a process of appeal where they can come down, discuss with me, we can help them file for an appeal and go that way. I don't necessarily feel that it needs to be put in legislation, this rule. We already are operating under these circumstances. Once again, it was a nuance that happened one time with a new employee, and I do apologize for that. They have been taught, retrained. Thank you.
All right, thanks. It might be hard to decide how far away from these clubs we're going to be enforcing. I mean, is it 100 feet, 200 feet? So there are some problems with enacting something like that. But do I have any more comments? Any comments from the commission? It's a little bit of a tough one. No? Okay. Do I hear a motion to move it to a public hearing, or would we want to table this for the time being, or what do you think?
Want a motion, the public hearing?
Seconded. Okay, we'll send it to a public hearing and see what we get. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Number 3, request to amend Schedule 11 of Title 10 Handicapped Person Parking Areas by adding 74 Victoria Street and 15 Elliott Road. Do you have any comments on this, Mr. DeCicco?
Just as it states, that public hearing, 74 Victoria Street, the resident had asked for to come up and speak again. She was notified of the public hearing. I believe I had you on the email, showing the email was sent to her. I had also left her voicemails. There's a couple of issues there with the parking, and from that point, there's also parking. There's a parking lot. I guess those row houses were built with the intention of the off-street parking is to be provided there at that location. So, but the will is to have them come and speak, put it for a public hearing again. But there is no parking allowed on that side of the street. And there, I guess the ordinance, and we can look it up, that parking is provided off the street, whether the landlord's letting them use it or not. But for those to be built at that time, I believe that was the intent.
Okay,
there.
and 15 Elliott?
And 15 Elliott, just for a public hearing.
15.
Yeah, I have all the application paperwork for that one.
Okay, Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to speak on 74 Victoria Street. I have talked to the woman that lives across the street. She's very handicapped. And she doesn't have no driveway, and she just wanted to handicap across the street, I think you and I talked about this. She says that there are handicap parking spaces on a no parking side around the city, and she can't understand why she can't get one. So that's the conversation I had with her. I know that she has taken some pictures, and we followed up on it, Paul, and Mr. Chairman, and they weren't on the right street, I think. So, I mean, I don't know where you want to go with this, but she really does need a handicap plate, and unfortunately, she's on the side of the Victoria Street that's no parking. So, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So, I mean, we could certainly move it to a public hearing to give her a chance to speak. But under any circumstance, we really can't put a handicap parking spot on a no parking side of the street. So that's problematic. But we could certainly give her the opportunity to come up and speak before us. If you feel like you want to move this to a public hearing. Okay. A motion? Do I hear a motion?
Motion, public hearing.
Second?
Point of clarity, is that for both addresses?
Yeah, that's for both, yeah. Or unless you want to separate them out. If you feel 74 Victoria, we've addressed it already.
So my concern, Mr. Chairman, is that as Mr. DeChico stated, those houses were built
Right.
with the parking provided. Now, if the landlord is, for whatever reason, not allowing parking, then there's,
Right.
landlord, renter issue there. Obviously, I don't think that we can have parking on the side of the street whether it's not allowed.
No, that's, we certainly can't do that.
So that's my contention there.
Okay,
I'm comfortable moving 15 Elliott Road to
okay,
the public hearing, but
okay.
at this point.
Councilor
not
McKenna, has she
74
stated
Victoria.
anything about the parking that's provided for those row houses? She's not able to use
I
it?
don't think that her landlord would let her use the parking, so, and she does have quite some issues.
Oh, no, I'm sure she does.
So,
Okay,
anything that we could do. I know there's a parking lot up there, there's an empty parking lot. I don't know what side it's on, but it's just an empty parking lot.
okay,
So maybe we can look at that. Thank you.
okay. So at this point, we do not have a second for 74 Victoria, so that will not move forward. We do have a second for 15 Elliott. We'll move 15 Elliott to a public hearing. All in favor, all opposed? 5? Okay.
Aye.
Thanks. Number 4, request to amend Schedule 4 of Title 10 isolated stop signs by removing Conant Street for northeast-bound and southwest-bound traffic at the intersection of Rumney Road. Further, that the DPW be directed to remove the stop sign upon the approval of the amendment. Councilor Cogliandro.
Thank you, Mr. Argenzio. Good evening, Commission. Just looking for some insight, if that is, I know that stop sign has been put there. I know everybody knows that the two side streets, one way goes this way, the other one way goes that way. Exactly. So I'm just curious to know, there's a stop sign at every intersection on Rumney Road, and I know we do have some issues with speeding and running through them, but I also want to know if there, I'm here for more insight on the issue, if we can remove it, and if not, why? So, thank you.
Right. I could probably give you some insight on that, because years ago, that was what I did. That stop sign was there prior to Conant Street being put in those directions. So I think that was changed, and that stop sign just sat there. So I understand what you're talking about, and I would be in favor of removing it. So you want to move that to a public hearing and
Motion to move to a public hearing?
Second?
Second.
Second? All in favor? Thank you. All right, thank you. Number 5, Councilors Fiore and McKenna request the Traffic Commission to remove the parking meters from the Central Ave municipal parking lot. I have a memo here from Richard Viscay, City Auditor, who has a little bit of a rundown as to how this occurred and the reasoning for these meters. And I will take an opportunity to read it. Regrettably, I am unable to attend the meeting tonight about the removal of the Central Ave parking meters. However, I would like to make the Traffic Commission aware of about the logic behind the metering this lot. First, the vote to install 140 meters in the Central Ave lot was done in March 1983. I can't elaborate on why it took this long to enact the vote. However, back in October 2020, former parking director Jim Rose had submitted an amendment to Schedule 17 of Title 10 to install the meters and were voted on 39 years ago. This amendment was modified slightly and adopted on January 7th, 2021. it was decided that we would charge half price on street meters as to help create parking capacity on Broadway. And the meters would be long-term meters, up to a full day. So if their business within the city took more than 2 hours, they would not have to worry about feeding meters or getting a parking violation. We have also established a business parking permit program for those business owners and employees so that they can park all day, every day with a permit that is administered by the parking department. This pass is $100 for the year, or $8.25 per month, or less than $2 per week. We feel that this is a fair price and that it allows for capacity on Broadway meters. As of today, we have over 50 people who have taken advantage of this program. Parking in the Central Ave lot is free of charge from 5 p.m. to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday, and all day Saturday, Sunday, and holidays for all residents who have a resident parking sticker. Finally, we have worked with Deb Petska, Director of Elder Affairs, on issuing or ensuring that all visitors to the senior center have dedicated parking spots. If those spots are filled, we have issued parking passes to Ms. Petska for distribution to the seniors for free parking. The administration has also put forward a request for adoption of Mass General Law 40, Section 22A.5, that would allow for the creation of a parking benefits district. I have attached the presentation that was submitted to the council for your benefit. In summary, I feel that any vote to remove these meters is premature and that we should reinvest all money generated into funding a parking benefit district as described in the documents attached. I do have those documents, and the money that is derived from this parking lot would go directly into the business district along Broadway, and I believe, so the public space improvements, benches, barrels, snow removal, security cameras, green initiatives such as parking stations, parking maintenance, fire hydrant markings, transportation improvements. So the money derived from the parking lot would go directly into this parking benefits district if the city council passes this. And then a parking advisory committee would be represented by a body of 9 members, mayor or his designee, 2 city councilors, a member of the traffic commission, the CFO, chief of planning, parking director, and 2 business owners. So with that, if anyone wants to make a comment.
Thank you,
Councilor
Mr. Chairman.
McKenna.
Thank you. Joanne McKenna, Ward 1 Councilor. So everything respectfully, please, and please don't get me wrong if I talk out of term, but every single thing in this letter, I had no idea. Not one idea of what was going on. I was not included in this. I was never told about this. Everything that he's saying in this letter, I had no idea, okay? We're supposed to be, I'm here not as a politician, I'm here to better Revere. And transparency has been one of my biggest issues since I was a councilor, okay? To leave the Ward 1 councilor out of the communication, out of the dialogue, is wrong. It's wrong. Do I agree with this? That's what's happening? Yes, I do. But you know what? Give me the respect as the ward councilor to bring me in the conversation and say, there's going to be meters in this lot. I had no idea. So I came up here 4 months ago because I heard from one of my constituents, and she said, my aunt lives off of Acela Court, and she needs aid. And we can't get the finance to get an aid for us. So I go down there, because I'm a retired teacher, and I take care of her. But now I don't have any place to park. And I said, okay, so I came up here, and I said, all I want, after I found out there was meters, All I wanted was 4 free parking spaces for the 4 people that need parking spaces. You've got houses that abut, their entrances are on the parking lot. You've got a cellar court, okay, side street. People live there. They've been parking there for years. They don't have to pay for parking. So, and no offense, very respectfully, you guys tabled it and that was the end of it. So the meters came and this poor woman has to pay for the meter now, even though it's $2 or $5 or 5 cents, she still has to pay for a meter to go into her aunt's house and take care of her all day. So respectfully, Councilor Fury put this in, and he included me because I was so mad that I was not in this dialogue at all. And everything that Rich Fiskay said, I had no idea. And I don't think the councilors had any idea. So transparency and communication is where it's at. And if we want to get things done, we have to work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Anyone else wish to make a comment?
So Julie DeMauro from the Department of Planning and Community Development. I want to bring this back a little bit from last year because we got approached by several businesses who could not park in the lot because there was too many people that were parking in the lot all day or parking in the lot overnight and not moving their cars at all. So this whole issue came before the Traffic Commission, I believe it was last February or January. The meters were put in. They do have a discounted rate. But the one thing I do want to call attention to is what we were seeing with people not living in Revere, or I think they were not living, because when they ran the plates, they realized they were not from Revere, but they were parking in the municipal lot, getting on the bus and taking it to wherever it is they needed to be that day. Now, that seems to be the trend across all of New England. We're hearing about it in other municipalities. People are trying to cheat the payment system with the T, or they find the most direct route and they find a parking spot to park the car there all day, so they only have one transfer. So, but this takes away from the business owners on Broadway, and this was one of the reasons why we put the meters in, so that people wouldn't be hanging out all day, parking there all day. Just from other initiatives that we've done upstairs in that department, putting flyers on the cars, what we've noticed is that the cars would be there for a week. There were a few cars that they parked them there and that was it. So I know everybody's kind of upset about the meters and how it all came about, but the reality is it does allow for people that want to visit Broadway and can't get a spot out front to park pretty close to where the businesses are now. It is cheaper to park there than it is on Broadway. The business owners themselves seem to be happier about it because it's $100 for the whole year versus, I think it's, $5 or $6 a day if they're feeding the meter all day. So I understand the confusion about when this went in and when it didn't go in, but overall, it's more of a benefit for the Broadway Business District right now, and I think we really need to make sure that we're able to provide people a spot if they decide they want to shop and do their personal business on Broadway. That's it.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to make a comment?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the Traffic Commission. My name is Jim Rose, former parking director, City Revere. I'd like to start by saying, in watching the past 3 council meetings, I can't help but feel how bad of a reputation the department is receiving. I'm in front of you tonight to clearly remind everyone all the positives that this department has brought to the city. I want to first say, prior to me being the parking director, this department was nearly non-existent and had been that way for previous administrations as well. I would like to remind everyone that meters have been part of the city, whether it was this administration or the past administration. The only difference is in the years past, a high percentage of the meters were broken and not in use. Parking was a complete mess in the entire city. Vehicles, whether commercial or passenger, registered in other cities, were being parked on our streets with very little, if any, enforcement being done. Prior to me taking the position of parking director, the overnight parking program was simply an ordinance on the books. It became reality because of the hard work done by the parking department. We revamped all the meters in our city and brought them up to the 21st century using smart meter technology. We were able to offer customers the option to pay with a credit card or coin to make it more convenient. We also were able to monitor meters in real time at any time for crystal clear transparency. I want to again say crystal clear transparency. In regards to the, is there a problem? Oh, okay. Okay. In regards to the meters at the central parking lot, since 1893, there has been an ordinance in place about having meters in this location. The problem is that it was never enforced. This lot was a mess, and I'm talking about going back many, many years and administrations. Since then, it has been cleaned up and is much more presentable than it ever has been in the past. But the point that is being misunderstood is the reasons there are meters in the lot in the first place. Meters are put in place to provide parking for residents and visitors of our downtown district. When parking spaces are full along Broadway, the Central Ave parking lot is used for overflow parking to offer the alternative parking option at a reduced rate. When the demand is greater than the supply, we need to offer an alternative parking option to accommodate our patrons of businesses along Broadway. If parking is free and anyone is allowed to park in the lot, or even if it's restricted to residents with permits, we have defeated the purpose of what the lot was meant for, which is overflow parking. It is also interesting to note that in a recent survey that the parking department did of surrounding cities and towns, all charged to park in their municipal parking lots, and all at a greater fee than ours. So this concept of charging to park is not unique to Revere, but is the norm in surrounding communities. In regard to the revenue, which is always considered a side benefit of meter parking since meters were installed in September 2021, the parking department has issued 80 tickets. Clearly, it is not about the money. I want to thank you for allowing me to speak. And if I could, I'd also like to address some of the comments that were made by Councilor McKenna. When we first were talking about the Central Ave parking lot with the ideas we came up, and actually Julie was part of that, Julie tomorrow, we had conversations. Yes, Councilor McKenna was not involved in those conversations at the time. But in the 3 years or more that I was in that Central Ave parking lot, I never received a call from any councilor at any time, okay, stating that, you know, what are we doing with the Central Ave parking lot? I have pictures here. I take great pride in the city. I have pictures here that I took myself, okay, and I was monitoring the parking lot. I was watching what was going on in that parking lot. Everything was going on in that parking lot, okay? Vehicles were left there, just like I had stated in my prior statements. So I guess what the next question I have is, I had heard you, Councilor, basically saying that you did not know anything about it. We had 2 traffic commission meetings. Why weren't you present at those meetings? I mean, how could you not know about the meetings? You're the councilor. If I'm the councilor of Ward 1, wouldn't it be you as a councilor, what you're supposed to do to basically look at the meeting and see what's on the agenda? Okay.
If you could direct your comments to the chair.
I apologize. I
That's okay.
apologize.
Rather than,
Okay. And, you know, those are the comments I have to make. We take great pride in the department that we created. We did a lot of work to get it to where it is. The new parking director is doing a terrific job, and I hope we can just keep on moving in the right direction and not go backwards.
thank you, Mr. Rose.
Thank you.
Zachary Babo, current parking director, 281 Broadway, Revere, Mass. I wanted to follow some of the statements that Julie made. Under Jim Rose's direction, when he was the former director, I was a parking control officer. One of the biggest complaints I heard from local business owners and employees is that it is annoying to constantly come out and have to make sure they feed this meter every 2 hours to avoid a violation, since there was no other area to park for them. Since we have created this business district, this business permit, for $100 a year, they have peace of mind. They are allowed to purchase a permit, park within the lot, and not worry about, some of them do real estate, some of them do taxes. They may be busy with a client, they have gotten parking violations because they didn't have enough time to run out there and pay the meter. I think the benefits of this parking lot vastly outweigh the negatives of it. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other, Councilor McKenna?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Councilor McKenna. I'd like to address Mr. Rose. Mr. Rose, you were the director of parking, and I just want to say, Mr. Rose, that Councilor Janino, myself, Sergeant Janino, was we wrote the parking ordinance, okay? I have no problem with what you want to do with this parking lot. I just was not in the conversation, okay? I just feel that the community planners could have called me, which I have a problem with sometimes.
Councilor, if you could direct your comments.
Yes,
this way.
sorry,
Okay.
and you could have called me too. Yes, sometimes I don't read what's on the agenda for the traffic, okay? And most of the time I do. So, and I just want to say, if you look at 311, and I know the DPW knows this, I've put in many requests to clean up that parking lot, many requests since I've been a councilor. Get the cars out of there. They were the cars weren't insured. Their parking was expired. I got them out of there. So, I mean, I've done my job in that parking lot. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, to the,
One thing. I mean, Al's not here. Councilor Fury's not here. He has a different perspective of what he wants on this. My perspective is I want 4 parking spaces, and I don't want it to be tabled. I want the residents, and I don't know how you're going to name it, if you give them passes and know that those 4 passes are for those people that live there. That's what I want.
okay, so my,
Very simple, very simple. Thank you.
okay, so my suggestion, Councilor, is that you put in something specific to the Traffic Commission concerning those spots. Right now, we're considering the removal of all meters in the lot. So that's what we have to address right now, and I understand your concerns, and I would put in something specific to that problem. We really can't address it in this particular manner, because this request is for the removal of all parking meters. So do I have any comments from the commission? Do you want to table this? Do you want to move this to a public hearing? Or do we just?
Mr. Argenzio,
Yes, please.
I mean, I've known the area very well for a long time. And just like everyone said in the room, the lots never look better. And I think you contribute a lot of that to the meters. Myself personally, I've had to remove cars that clearly don't belong there. Unregistered, uninsured, inoperable. You can list a long laundry list worth of stuff that was going on in there. I mean, myself personally, I've removed car seats, like a physical car seat left in the parking lot, all kinds of debris, as well as the DPW and everything else. But since the meters have been there and the lot's been cleaned up, you can see a huge difference. And just the dynamics of the parking lot. You can just see and I was up there this morning. So I don't think it would be a wise idea to remove the meters.
Okay.
But I think maybe we can, my thought is, Councilor McKenna brought up, there's a couple of people that need some relief over there. Maybe if she put some language together, we can try to get them some relief for a few people over there that have a problem, if that's possible.
That's fine. Sergeant Janino?
I just know over the years, we've changed that law around
Right.
numerous times. And I don't see any reason why we can't give it back to the council again to write something up, to come back before us again next month. And present it to us to put the spots that they want in this. We know exactly what they want, where they want them.
Okay.
You know, I mean, it's just, we've worked with the Elder Center, with the handicap spots over there.
Okay.
Elder spots. We worked with the businesses, the business spots over there. So, I mean, I just can see where they can write up something, come back to us next month.
Okay. So it doesn't seem like there's an appetite to move this to a public hearing for removal of these meters. So we'll table that, and then Councilor McKenna, if you would like to put some language together to help give relief to these residents, then we can certainly consider that. All right, thank you. Number 6 is Chief Bright would like to review the fire lane on Naples Road. Chief Bright.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We thought it was time to revisit this issue down on Naples Road. So Mr. Rystrom, myself, and Deputy Chief took a ride down there the other day. And I think we've come up with a pretty good solution. So I'd like to offer that we maintain the fire lane on the north side of that street, okay, from 425 American Legion Highway all the way down the guardrail into Broadway Circle. So that north side will remain a fire lane, okay? The south side of Naples Road, I'd like to change to 24/7 resident parking only, all right? This should provide relief to the residents at 437 and 453 American Legion Highway, because they've been having a problem parking on there and competing with the various, they won't have to compete with the various businesses down there. So again, I think this, this was kind of a volatile issue, some time has elapsed, and I'm hoping if, we offer this relief down there, that the situation will improve, both for those people who live there and for the businesses. But with the caveat, if we do pass this and people are gonna start doing their own thing down there, removing signs and painting over whatever the regulation is, then we'll be back in here again making another change. So I don't know if I'd like to make a motion to reconsider.
Okay.
With the north side, we have it all written out here. We have a nice schematic I can give to Sergeant Janino.
Okay.
In the DPW about the signage, but I think this is a step in the right direction. So the north side of the street will maintain the fire lane. The south side will be changed to 24/7 residential parking only. And I did speak to Mr. Barbo about this before,
Yes,
to make sure he would be in favor of
Mr. Barbo.
these changes.
Thank you, Commissioner, for this. I support Chief Bright in his motion. One of the things that happened when we changed this was, I had a couple of residents, a woman that stated, I have nowhere to park. What am I supposed to do? I have 3 young children. Unfortunately, she was parking over on Ferragamo Way by Wendy's, walking across the highway. Me and Chief had a discussion. This is when we decided, something needed to be done, and I fully support his motion. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a motion to amend the parking on Naples Road per Chief Bright's suggestions. Do I have a second to that motion?
Seconded.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Naples Road parking has been amended. As of right now. Yeah. And lastly, on the list, we have a request to amend Section 10.34.020, Section F, to include 17 Dehone Street, making the residents eligible for parking stickers. Does anyone have a comment on this, or?
All I want to say is we're going building by building right now.
Right.
Taking these buildings out of the ordinances and changing them over. This was before it slapped back in April, and we stuck it where it is now. It was built with variances, now we're moving it back again. So one by one, we'll be doing all these buildings, just so you know it.
So this building did have a variance?
Yes.
Oh, okay, and we kind of were holding tight on not allowing parking stickers for those buildings. And this, did you know where this request came from?
This came from Councilor Novoselsky, and also Frank Strigi was along with it also. He emailed me on the forgetting about putting it in there, I'm not sure after the meeting.
Okay, so we can move it to a public hearing to see if there's a compelling reason why we want to do this. But do you agree? Do you want to move this to a public hearing, or?
Motion to move to a public hearing?
Hearing?
Not in favor.
I'll second that.
Second, okay, all in favor? Aye, okay. Thank you very much, and do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved,
I'll second that.
second, thank you. And our next meeting, Sergeant Janino will make us aware of that.
Check with the city clerk and
Okay, thank you very much.